All right, South Carolina's screwed. There's just no other way to put it. There's just no other way to put it. South Carolina absolutely screwed today against LSU. Instant. It's not even overreaction. Instant reaction. The game ended 5 minutes ago. Locked On Gamecocks starts now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. I'm trying to get through all of the stuff I have to say as quickly as possible to get to the meat of the show. Thanks for making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Blah, 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 blah. Shout out to our everydayers. Appreciate you guys. Today's not easy. It's just not an easy game to see what just happened, and it is frustrating. Regardless, I appreciate you guys making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we are part of the Locked On Gamecock or Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Make sure you go to 5hourenergy.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. Let's get into the game. I don't know physically, mentally, emotionally. I don't know how to get through this episode without dropping an F-bomb. I will lose my job if we do that, so I'm going to try my best not to. But what the blank just happened? An absolute ref show in Columbia, South Carolina. And listen, tomorrow we'll do another one of these, and I'll rewatch the game before then, and I'll go through some of the stuff that South Carolina could have done better to win this game, because there's plenty they could have done to win this game. But what just happened? Like, how do you watch that as how do you watch that even as a non-fan of either one of these teams and think this is a good product we're putting out on the field? You know what I wish would happen in the fourth quarter and the third quarter, especially, but especially late, whenever South Carolina has anything going positive for them. What if the refs just inserted themselves into every single possible moment they could? What if that happened? Who's ever watched a football game like that? It's unbelievable to sit there and watch that game. And I understand you got off to a 17-0 start. There was times where I thought Carolina was going to blow this game. They did everything they could have been asked to do to not blow that game, to not lose that game. There are things that I'm sure we'll talk about on tomorrow's episode that are going to be like, well, I wish they wouldn't have done this here, and you had some dumb mistakes here. But my God, 13 penalties for 123 yards. Guys, if that sounds like a lot, that's because it is. It's the most South Carolina has committed and the most yards they have been penalized in over 8 years. And to be 1,000% honest, that's just as far back as I can physically go on CFB stats. It's only going to 2016. I would venture to think that it probably was further. If you kept going further back, it would still be the most penalized game. It was it was so one-sided when it came to that. I don't know where to begin. You did everything you had to do to win this game, and you did it without your starting quarterback for the second half. Sellers, I thought, was fantastic for a lot of times. Still made a ton of mistakes. The awareness that he has, or the lack of awareness on third downs, has to get better. It absolutely has to get better. I'm going to get a fine in this apartment because of the yelling. But that part has to get better. There's things that this team can do to shore up some mishaps that they could have done better. I'm having a hard time 10 minutes removed from the final whistle, looking at this game and saying, how the hell was that game not how did Carolina not win that game? I had a LSU buddy of mine, Chris Gordy. He's texting me right now, and he runs LSU, or runs Locked On SEC. Big LSU guy, works out of Houston, covers LSU, all that kind of stuff. He said Beamer blew that game. No, the refs handed that game on a silver effing platter to LSU and Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, the pick six. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me clarify, because there was multiple pick sixes that were wiped off the scoreboard. The first one would have been a legal play a year ago. This year, it's not. The horse collar tackle that was just grabbing his jersey, where Kennard is pulling down Nussmeier and gets thrown in the air. It's a pick six. Like that, along with the mistake in the end zone, and then what you could have at least got away with a field goal there. You're talking about, like Herbstreit even said, you could have been up 17-0 in the first quarter. Kept bouncing back. For a minute there in the third quarter, you got completely dominated. I think they had like 12 yards passing at one point in the fourth quarter. 12 yards passing total in the second half of that game. You were dominating the first half. You dominated the first quarter. Then for 2 quarters, like I think you had the ball for like 10 minutes in the first half or first quarter. You had 10 minutes. You had the ball for 10 minutes total the next 2 quarters. Sellers made some big mistakes, but every time you needed an answer, they answered. Every single time you needed South Carolina to answer, they answered. And what did you get for it? It's just unbelievable to sit there and like your heart breaks for Herrera and that missed kick because it was like, I mean, he had the leg, he hit it clean, he just barely missed it. And I think there's probably a level of apathy that's going to set in from Carolina fans. It's just kind of like, this is what it's like. I do know that the only emotion that I can see right now is anger because it's just so unbelievable to have sat there and watched that game for 4+ hours. 4+ hours, and at every single turn, there was a call made on South Carolina. And like I said, tomorrow I'll go through all this, and I'll go through the game itself, and I'll rewatch the tape, and we'll talk about this in a logical way. It's not going to be right now. It's not going to be right now. I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to have some drinks. After this, I'm going to have some nachos. I'm going to probably eat my feelings. Watching this team, you have to bring in Ashford off the bench, and he's smothered. But when you needed him most, he comes through. But what happens on, the 2-point conversion? He makes an incredible play. That's a play that we would have been talking about, I feel like, for years, possibly. Huge. Wiped away. At one point, there was an ineligible receiver downfield, and it was a receiver. I've never seen that in my life. I have never seen that in my life. Shane Beamer teams are a lot of things. There's mistakes that they make, and that's fine. But you went into this game with 13 total penalties in 2 games. It had not been an issue. It had not been an issue. This is only the let me add this up real quick. You've had times before you've had double-digit penalties, but it was against Charlotte, Vanderbilt. You had one against Florida, Vanderbilt again. I don't know what happens with Vandy. Troy, right? Jacksonville State and UGA. I just gave you 6 or 5 or 6. Wait, no, 7 games. Only 2 of them are games against big opponents. When the lights usually shine brightest, at least Shane Beamer teams are going to be disciplined. Not like this. 13 penalties, 123 yards. They had 4 penalties for 50 yards in the first half. They had, let me do the math on this, 9 penalties for 73 yards in the second half. Like, what the hell is that? Like, I don't know how you look at this game again as a neutral observer or a fan of either side and be like, yep, that was great. That was like, they set it on the field. What a great game. They gave every effing opportunity for LSU to win that game. And I'll tell you what was the most shocking to me. You get the ball. I'm trying to think of what order this is in, and I might be wrong. Just bear with me because I'm running on pure emotion right now. Okay. Don't send that up to anybody. You had the ball, and can you stop? My girlfriend thinks it's like the funniest thing she's ever seen. You had the ball. You forced a punt. It's 33-29 Carolina, right? You got a fumble on there into the field late. This is like late in the third, I think. No, it's in the fourth quarter. So, and just the clock, it seemed like it was standing still all game. Like all game. That Bama game started at the same time. Bama, Wisconsin. That game was over like an hour before this one. Missouri, Boston College. That game started at 12:45. That game was over before this one. It's like the clock was standing still. You got the ball and they fumbled, and Dylan Stewart recovered it. You got 4 plays, 0 yards. You got a field goal out of it. You go up 33-29. You go up 33-29 with 10.5 minutes to go. By the way, when you got the ball back after the fumble, a total of 1 minute and 23 seconds was off the clock. Insane. So you force LSU to punt, right? You get the ball. This is when I knew things were going to go south for South Carolina. This is when I knew that this game was like something's up. South Carolina completes, they're up by 4 points. They complete I don't know what it was, like a 40-plus yard pass down the right sideline on first down. Or maybe second down. Either way. Robbie Ashford rolls out, hits a guy, like an incredible catch. An incredible catch. You see a flag, and you already know it's coming back. Because I'm watching the replay, and I'm like, that's pass interference. 1,000% pass interference. He is draped all over him. There is no chance, after what I've seen you call on South Carolina for the first part of this game, or first 3 quarters of the game, there's no chance you don't call that a pass interference on defense. Then they show the replay, because of course it was a flag on South Carolina's offensive pass interference. They said that Mazeo Bennett was blocking downfield. It was him being called for pass interference. They replay the down, or they show the replay. Herbstreit and Fowler could not be more confused. Have no clue where this could be coming from. I don't see it anywhere. That's not, I mean, he makes contact with him there because he thought Robbie Ashford was going to take off and run, but that's not ever going to be called pass interference. It's not, he's not engaged with him to be blocking. Then they cut to Nick Harbor. Nick Harbor's coming off the line, and he's trying to block. He gets his jersey pulled and his face mask pulled in the same moment. No call, nothing. And then they fast forward, or they flash the actual catch, and there was no defensive pass interference. Like I saw the play where even Worry, I think it was like going down the same sideline, going towards the student section. He grabbed the corner. He grabbed the shoulder pad for whoever the receiver was for LSU. And you saw 2 flags come out. One of them was like way later than the first one. And I thought it was a flag. I thought it was a pass interference call. I thought it was a good call. But my point is, you saw multiple flags come out. On this one, you have multiple refs that are right. That's the play's right in front of them. Nothing. At the very least, you should have had offsetting penalties. But no, it's 2nd and 22. You get the ball all the way back down here. So then the next play, you throw like a screen pass or a swing pass type thing, like a little bit of both, really, to Rocket Sanders. He's got nowhere to go on the right side of the field. He cuts it back all the way across the field against the grain, comes back all the way down here, gets an 11-yard gain. As he's going out of bounds, gets hit late. The entire sideline, on the South Carolina sideline, the entire sideline is begging for a flag. Again, you've been calling flags on Carolina the whole effing second half. Begging for a flag. Didn't get it. Then Harold Perkins comes in, starts pushing and getting some like extracurricular crap going on. Nothing. Ref comes in, scoops him up, pulls him up like breaking up the fight, but puts his arm around Perkins, brings him back out of the whole scuffle. Nothing. Not offsetting, not like, personal foul on both, like on both. Nothing. Next play, fumble. The touchdown that made it 22-24, I don't think he ever got in. They never even reviewed it. The fumble play that just happened, I thought it was a fumble. Surprised they didn't review it. Pretty big moment that we're all of a sudden testing the vision of these refs who have been off the entire game. And I mean on both sides where it's like, oh, we reviewed this and it's overturned. Like the Kyron Lacey catch, which I also thought that was a catch. But why, if you're standing right there, how did you miss it that badly? Like, you're right. How did you miss it that badly? So then they get the ball. And I told you before the game was going to happen, I said, if you can just get to the fourth quarter, Garrett Nussmeier is going to do something stupid because he trusts his arm over everything else on that field. And he did. He did multiple times. And he throws a pick to Eamon Worry, and Eamon Worry takes it back 100-plus yards for what should have been the effing final nail in the coffin. And it wasn't. And it wasn't the final nail in the coffin because Kyle Kennard gets a blindside block on Garrett Nussmeier away from the play. Was that a flag that was a good call? By the definition of the rule, sure, I guess. It impacted the play 0%. 0%. They had zero impact on the play. Zero impact on the play. So now you don't have a 100-yard touchdown return for a touchdown with, by the way, a double-digit lead with less than, I don't know, with less than 6 minutes left. Now you get the ball 1st and 10 from your own 10-yard line with your backup quarterback. Again. And you have 3 plays for 2 yards. You get a false start. You got a false start on 3rd and 2 to make it 3rd and 7. And by the way, here's the last one. This was my favorite one, maybe. Because this I about yeeted myself off the damn balcony when this happened. 3rd and 2, you get a false start on Vershawn Lee. The entire LSU defensive line moves and like over to the left, like pre-snap, whatever. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I think that is a dumb rule change. Georgia has done that for the last 3-4 years, and it's been awesome. It works in their favor all the time. It gets the offensive line guessing, especially if you're at home, which I know in this case it was not the same. But like, I love that. I think it's great. It's been really impressive to watch teams be able to utilize that and get offensive linemen jumping and getting out of their stance early. But they changed the rule, and you saw it earlier in the game when it was 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and they got a defensive delay game that caused the offensive line to jump. This was the same thing. Herb Street brought it up in the booth. He said, we saw this earlier, and it was a penalty on LSU. Now it's a 5-yard penalty on South Carolina. What happened? There's a ton of stuff we can get into. I feel sick. I don't even know how else to say it. I just feel sick. It's such a gross loss. And you're going to get out of the month 3-1 in September. And that's better than I think a lot of people thought you were going to go. But I mean, it would have been really nice to be 4-0. And I know I'm counting the Akron game because Akron sucks. It would have been very nice to go be 4-0 and then start looking at the rest of that schedule and be like, man, we got Vandy still and that other and another non-con. Like we're going to be bowl eligible. And this team is good enough to still do that 1,000%. This team should be 3-0. And they're not. They did everything you asked them to do for 4 quarters. Backup quarterback. Made huge plays in the receiving game. Every single time you needed them to find an answer, they did. Every time. I don't know how many times you watched that game and you were like, it just feels like it's falling apart. It just feels like at some point the wheels are going to come off and they just keep getting closer and closer after it was like 17-0. LSU went right down the field on you. And then, then it's 17-10. You hold them to a field goal and you get a 75-yard run from Sellers. But even then, it just kept feeling like it was just like it's going to fall apart at some point. Every single time. Every time you needed that team and that defense or whatever to step up and make a play, they did. Every time. And it just still wasn't enough. I'll look at the tape, like I said, and I'll be more logical about it tomorrow and try to point out some of the actual flaws that Carolina had and spots where they did this themselves. And it's total ref show. I texted a buddy of mine who was there, and I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like that. I just don't. It was awful. And that's all I have to say about that. So y'all be safe. Appreciate y'all. If you're leaving the park, hopefully you'll watch this while you're leaving because it's going to take 18 hours to get out of Williams-Brice, as we all know. But like I said, appreciate you guys. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your Saturday or as best as you can be. Go to 5 points. We'll have some steam. Be safe. Be safe for sure. Before we get out of here, let me do the stuff that gets me paid. And we'll just call it a day. Make sure tomorrow you're probably gonna have a rough one. I know I am. Make sure 5 Hour Energy is part of your day. I love 5 Hour Energies. I've had 2 today, despite my melancholy demeanor right now. Listen, if the wifey's giving you a to-do list on Sunday, grab 5 Hour Energy. Fix Tired Fast. Whether you have a long list to do for work or DIY projects to tackle at home, take a 5 Hour Energy so you can check everything off your to-do list. If you're like me, you always have a large list of projects at home. When you get your supply, she's laughing at me because my weekends are full of having to do this. But do not forget the most essential supply, and that is a 5 Hour Energy shot. Before you work out, if you want to get in shape, you're having trouble staying motivated, grab a 5 Hour Energy. Make it part of your lifestyle and get your energy boost that you need to get fit. Last but not least, listen, there's 0 sugar. It's convenient, portable size, all that kind of stuff. It's a huge pick-me-up. They got great flavors. Watermelon, tropical burst. Those are actually my 2 favorites. But grape, berry, not so much. Just me personally. But go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com and get some 5 Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid until September 30th. So go do it today, guys, for sure. Or do it tomorrow. Sulk today, do it tomorrow, whatever you feel is best. And last but not least, give a shout out to our friends at Ibotta. They are great. Listen, if you're saving up for anything, maybe it's a bowl game that we're going to still end up going to. So keep getting ready for that. If you're going to be taking a vacation or whatever, with Ibotta, you get cash back on all your purchases. So you can spend more time making memories and less time dreaming about them. Okay. Ibotta is a free app that tells you or lets you earn cash back every time you shop and earn on hundreds of items like groceries, beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. That flight you've been eyeing or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Maybe go to Halls, whatever. Other apps give you points. This is not points. It's just straight up cash. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, whatever you choose, make sure you do it today. But it gives you points that go straight to your account, right? Your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipts, and voila, the money is yours. Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, all caps, all one word. Just go to the App Store or Google Play. Download the free Ibotta app, start earning cash back, and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE today. All right, guys, be safe. We'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a phenomenal rest of your Saturday, or try to. At least we're not Florida State. That's good.